Hey everybody, this is Paula Ritchie with OtherRealm Studio. It's good to be here. I have not done a live stream in so long. So I do have, let me turn that down a bit on my end. So I do have an hour-long live stream where I got this far. Oh, layers. Alright, layer 1. So I have an hour-long recording where I had gotten this far on this particular drawing. And you can find that on my YouTube channel. Let's see if I can make this pose work. So, I didn't used to have background music because I did not have the software figured out entirely. But now I think I've got it. But yeah, I was always a little concerned that my live streams were not as good as they could be. And I think I was letting perfectionism get in the way. Because it's very difficult for me, actually, to draw and talk at the same time. So I wanted to have some kind of music in the background, but then that kind of it led to other complications. So this music, I had bought the premium license for it from Dark Fantasy Studio. This particular track is titled Breath. Or is it Breathe? No, just Breath. Okay. Let's see. not entirely happy with the way this back leg is turning out just yet. I will give that some more thought. But right, so I had bought the premium license for the background music, and I am allowed to use it on streams and in videos. And there seems to be a revenue sharing thing attached to it, which was kind of interesting. I mean, it does make a lot of sense, but I got 2 revenue claims on it when I posted the hour-long video to Facebook. And one was from a guy that I hadn't heard from or heard of. So I'm not entirely sure if his is legitimate or not, since my entire playlist is from Dark Fantasy Studio. But Facebook's means of reporting such a thing is not that nuanced, so in the end I figured, well, there's probably not going to be much revenue made from it anyway. So I allowed both of them. And now that I've got Restream set up on Twitch and YouTube now, I'm kind of wondering if using this same playlist is going to pop up the same revenue sharing message again. Yeah, I'm still not happy with this back leg here. It seems... Hang on. Going with the rounded back I have, it seems like this leg ought to be a little shorter. There should be more spring built in there. More like that. Yeah, I'm not working with reference for this one. I thought I'd see if I could freehand at least one page out of this. There we go. We'll get a nice dynamic pose. Let's see. More like that. So, this is a page from the Magnolia Fawn children's book that I have on Kickstarter right now. So this is a project that I've had in mind for a few years now, and now I'm excited to finally get it launched and raise the money to print it. So, the reason why I want to do this project is because my sister, Connie Hall, runs Magnolia Fawn Rescue, and she does an amazing job of rescuing, rehabilitating, and releasing um, most of the orphan fawn in upstate South Carolina. Like right now, I think she's hit 80 fawn, and it's still early in the season. Uh, all kinds of things happen to put these little deer in distress. Ideally, they would just live free and wild and have their lives with their mothers. But that's not how things can go all the time. So there's deforestation from housing developments and stuff going on. Um, there's just simply living a little too close to humans. And mother deer get struck by cars and leave the fawns orphaned. Or sometimes people find one in the woods and they're not sure if it's an orphan or not, so they just try to take it in and raise it as a pet. This is a terrible idea for many reasons. Sometimes dogs will kidnap a fawn and just bring it in out from the woods because they want to play with it or they want to show it to their people. There's really all kinds of misfortunes that can happen. And also, sometimes they're born with birth defects or they get injured and they can't follow their mothers. And so Connie knows how to handle that as well. It is very tricky because deer, being prey animals, are extremely delicate, and honestly, they'll just die at the drop of a hat. So they can just die of stress. And, of not getting the correct food at the correct time in their lives. Or, also, if they've been dehydrated and lost for a while. Oh, that is better. Okay. Then feeding them milk will kill them, and like there are 1,000 things that can go wrong. But my sister has this incredible gift for keeping these delicate creatures alive and healthy, and she's able to raise them without them imprinting on humans so that they can be released into the wild. the way they ought to live. Let's see. Right, so I'm going to rough in some paints here. Well, I've already started that. Let's see. I want to neaten him up a bit, but I guess it's not really critical at this stage. Hang on. Doing the savey thing. There it goes. Oh. I forgot something. Let's see. That's OBS. This is... Oh, this is the Kickstarter. There's that. I have forgotten to put up the chat. I don't know where the chat is. I don't have the button up here. So if you're going to leave comments, I can't see them at the moment. Man, I knew I was rusty, but I don't know I was this rusty. Let's see. I think that to balance out the steer Dolphin's anatomy here, I'm going to need to lengthen the neck. So let's just select that. We'll start with the pencil layer. And let's try and make this match up to it. Is that a little much? It might be. This is why we use reference, people. Now he's a giraffe. Okay. Let's move him back down a bit. I knew this was a tricky pose. But for some reason, that's what I wanted to paint today. I don't really want to take the easy way out and make shortcuts. Well, okay, there may be a few shortcuts, but not in the interest of making something that looks too simple. I want to make this book the absolute best that I can. Because, you know, this is My art and my writing is something that my sister has always supported me in, and I would like to use my talents to support her as well. I'm not saving any lives, dear or otherwise, with my art, but I would like to give my best to this project. Let me put down a base color for this little guy, and we'll see how he looks without the lines in just a minute. Alright. This foreleg here looks a little bit oversized. So I think I will actually end up shortening that a bit. Let me see. Alright, we'll put his little muzzle up here. And they generally do have a little bit of a chin strap. And let's see, there might be a little confusion over this leg. Given that it's behind this one. But I think it would end about here. Aha! I have a solution for chat on Twitch at least. Hello, Star Storyteller. And Star Storyteller asks, what are the differences between fundraising for a comic versus a kid's book? That's a very good question, and I guess I'm gonna find out. So I've done, No, that shade of brown is not warm enough for what I want to do. Okay, so I have done fundraising for my comics, and it's it's a little tricky to do fundraising for anything. But with comics, at least, I have a community, a network, a whole bunch of friends that I know, at least online, and a few in person, in the comics industry or in indie comics. I mean, I'm familiar with the space and the people a little bit. And they're all very friendly and willing to help out. And, well, maybe not all, but, the vast majority of people that you meet in indie comics, or of any artist really, they're excited to help you out. And that's really wonderful to have so many creative people. Willing to give your post a boost, or to give you a shout out or check out your work. But, the downside of it being kind of a little community there, is that everyone's trying to make their living in the same space. And so maybe they don't have money to lend to other people's projects. Sometimes they do, sometimes not. Or maybe they're only interested in similar genres to their own. And sometimes it's hard to gain traction. So really, that's the main difference. So I don't really know anybody else necessarily doing a children's book, or who have who've tried to fundraise for a children's book. I mean, there are a few. But it's not really the circles that I run in usually. Oh. There we go. But the actual mechanism of fundraising is not too different. I wouldn't say. I mean, I've also done a fundraiser for my novel, which was an illustrated edition that I had self-published after my original publisher had gone out of business, and I threw myself into learning how to do that. And I have to say that that fundraising for the novel wasn't terribly different from fundraising for the comic. It's just hard to gain traction, and it's it's a lot to do with the people that you know, um, who can help you promote and get the word out about your project. Now, for this book, one of my one of my major goals, the things that I want to accomplish with it, I want to be able to print enough copies so that Connie can have a lot um, for her fundraising, for her open house that she does, and for her Christmas market, which will be sometime in November. Open house is a March event, so that's already done this year. Let's see. What else we got going on? But for a children's book, I think that most people would like the print edition. You know, you want to be able to hold the book in your hands and sit down with your kids at night and, you know, read it to them before bed. And there's a lot to be said for the tactile feel of, you know, turning the pages and pointing to the pictures. And, you know, I've always had kind of a spatial sort of sense with reading. Like, I remember where on the page that the words were when I go to find something again after I've read it once. And that's not really something that you can get with an ebook. So that's why print is more important for a children's book than even for a comic book, I think. You know, I think that people will read comics on a phone or a tablet now, and we probably have like webcomics to thank for that. Right. And they're more comfortable with it. But children's books, you know, kids like real things that they can hold in their hands, and that's very smart of them. So producing an ebook would be really cheap. I mean, that would be great if I could just release this as an ebook. I could probably do that. I mean, maybe not tomorrow because I'm still drawing the thing, but as soon as it was done, definitely. I mean, ebooks are, oops, too much erasing. I know, I'm trying to get out of this habit of zooming in to the pixels. But it didn't look right. I don't have the coordination to do this yet. There. What on earth was I talking about? Ebooks are easy and quick and terribly inexpensive to just put it out into the world and have it up on Facebook. Where people can go ahead and buy it, right? But print, on the other hand, it's not so simple. I mean, not only do you have to have the art and the writing and the formatting done, but you have to have it ready for print. That means, you have to watch your margins. There's nothing else. There's nothing automatic to stop your drawings from being clipped or cropped, unfortunately. So you got your formatting to deal with. You have your actual printing going on, all the necessities involved in that. So you need your ISBN number. You need to have your printer lined up, and I've got ISBNs, and I have a printer because I've already done this once with the novel. But after all that, you still have the expense of shipping it. Now you can negate some of this with like drop shipping. So if you go with Ingram Spark and you set it up to where people can order your book on Amazon, and Ingram will go ahead and print it and ship it for you, that's fantastic. But when you're dealing with a Kickstarter, and your rewards are the books, then you need to have your physical reward copies printed and shipped to your house, and then you got to deal with them yourself from there. So I mean, fortunately, I have done this with a novel. And I guess the novel's bigger and heavier than the kids' book will be, so but for shipping it doesn't really make a lot of difference. 1 pound, 2 pounds, it's about the same. But that still doesn't really make up for the fact that you have to pay for shipping twice. You got to ship it to your place, package it, add all your Kickstarter extras, your rewards and goodies to it, and sign them and ship them out to your backers. So that's a lot of traveling that they have to do. That's more of a question of print versus digital, but I think it is relevant to how comics and children's books are different. Because you can't really release a children's book purely digitally. I suppose you could, but it wouldn't feel the same. Okay, let's cup the insides of his ears. Alright. I keep telling myself to stop working at pixelated resolutions. That's another thing to do with print. Paper is not going to ever represent all these little pixels at the resolutions that I'm trying to draw in. So, why am I spending so much time fiddling around with pixels? I don't know. It's a terrible habit. There. Move out of the delicate little details of the face and oops. Why did my tablet suddenly restart? Oh, there was a Twitch update. So yeah, I haven't been on here for such a long time. But I need to get back into doing the art streams and into doing art every day. I'd fallen off of it for a long time. Well, I'd still done some art every day, but it was difficult. I was having a hard time hitting my target. And you know, a lot of that was stress from stuff going on with my family, with some health issues. And pretty much there's always something. There is no such thing as a smooth life at any point. When you're a kid, there's stuff that you're simply ignorant of, and when you're an adult, there's stuff you just force yourself to ignore and carry on. Just until you can build in the space to deal with it. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now anyway. Normally, I do not stay up this late. But I've been busy all day. I've been running. And this is the first chance I've gotten to draw any, so I decided to share this chance with y'all. So even though Let me see. Oh. Oh, well, thank you, Star Storyteller. So why is it bad to zoom in? Well, pretty much I start zooming in on details that will never show up to anyone but me. Alright, so you get closer and closer and closer. Let me demonstrate. You get closer and closer and closer down to the pixels of it, and you see all the mistakes, and you start polishing them out. And you see all the little things that aren't really mistakes, really. They add texture and life, but you could make it better. Maybe. And then you get so focused in on, your dozen or so pixels that you're, okay, that's an exaggeration. But you get so focused in on this one eensy little bit of the drawing that you forget about the rest of it. And now you have to make everything else harmonize with all that detail that you just put in this tiny area. It's like, it's like what they say when you miss the forest for the trees. That's a little too appropriate to this subject. Um, so I zoom in so far on things that only I will ever see. And then I have to make the rest of the drawing match that level of detail. Or I have to go back and subtract that level of detail from what I just did. So I don't want to make this art too plasticky. Even though I am using digital tools to create it, I would like them to look like paint. So yeah, one of the things that I'm trying to work on with uh, improving as an artist is a little bit counterintuitive, but it's necessary to leave the roughness, leave the character and the soul of the materials in there, even if it is virtual materials. And I try to do this in as traditional a way as I can. Oh, thought I had the eraser held down. So I'm not working with a ton of layers just yet. Of course the background's going to be on a separate layer because that's just too useful to ignore. But I try to blend my colors on the canvas, and I only use the one shape of brush for these illustrations. I also go in and do some blending, but I try to do the running color on fiber or the textured, not too much of the blend and blur. But I try to use this square-ended brush for all the illustrations, especially for this book, because I would like it to be harmonious throughout. Okay, it's getting a little late. Um, I've made some progress. I kind of like him. I think I'm gonna do something a little different with this leg. Over here, his left foreleg. His left. And I need to, of course, do the spots and smooth him out a little bit so that he belongs in the same universe as his mother. But I'm liking him. I like his little face. I like how it turned out. Things were extremely iffy. Yeah. Things were extremely iffy when I had his neck too short and his legs too long, but I think I've got him straightened out. I think he's good. I like his little face. So this is kind of an example of the ideal. This is what we want deer to be like. We want them to be roaming around in the woods, minding their own business, not bothering any people, and avoiding everyone they can. But, it can't happen all the time. And Connie is the person who will fill in the gaps and will rescue the fawn and make them live so that they can grow up healthy and wild. And maybe this wasn't the little deer childhood they got, but they can have their own babies and give them a good life. Yeah, I think that's I think that's a valuable thing for anybody to keep in mind, that no matter how you begin, there's hope for how you end. So let's give that a save. And I'll be signing off. Thank you so much for watching, and check out the Kickstarter. It's one of these. There, if you search up Magnolia Fawn Children's Book, or Kickstarter projects OtherRealm Studio, you should be able to find it. We've got 29 days to go. So, thank you all so much, and I'll see you later.